Shalom, Brakli Hawa, Brakli Oshai, Brakli Hawa, Brakli Oshai, Brakli Hawa, Brakli Oshai. Let's give all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Oshai, and double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops. We're in millstone that taught us his word. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect across the planet Earth, pushing this truth in sincerity and in truth. This article, News Nations, is talking about the chariots. This guy feels that the Trump administration thinks the U.S. can handle the truth of UFOs. This guy, but the truth about the UFOs is out there. It's been out there, you know. Most people can't handle the truth. They're so-called, or so-called black men in them ships, the angels, are navigating them ships, and how ultimately, the chariots, which the scriptures refer to them as the chariots, what there are, the chariots of Israel, not UFOs, but how the chariots of Israel are going to take place in the end times and the deliverance of the elect. That's the truth of the so-called UFOs. But it says that FAA admitted to unidentified flying object struck a fighter jet in 2023. And yeah, on a low level, they will engage with the people, with these military guys, and hover over different sites and mess around with the different instruments and whatnot. A White House advisor spoke about the technology that bends space and time. Yeah, man, the technology is out of this world, man. This is spiritual vehicles, man. They operate in and out of this dimension, you know. So Esau doesn't really understand, that type of technology, that heavenly, that spiritual technology from Most High, man. Elizondo believes it's a matter of time until the facts released to the public. It's a matter of time before, the chariots begin to really reveal themselves. They're already starting to do it, but as we get closer to the end, the chariots are going to reveal themselves fully, man. Scriptures talk about a war in heaven. The hundreds of heaven with Yahweh Shai, thousands of angels, man, are going to flood the skies with Yahweh Shai, man. So that's when, the real facts are going to be released. Esau isn't going to tell you the truth about how they are, black men in them ships, flying them ships, man. They're not going to come out like that. The facts really aren't going to be released until Yahweh Shai makes his second coming, man. And all the world will see and know. Strange flying objects reported near Arizona Air Force Base. Yeah, like they will interfere with some of these Air Force bases and these nuclear technologies, man, because they're holding back that destruction, man. They're working on the minds of these different military leaders and leaders of state, holding back, that destruction until the time comes when the elect is fully woken up and when these prophecies come to pass, man, mainly when that chip comes to pass. The microchip, the mark of the beast, and that becomes made mandatory. All must take it. And then that's when that World War III is really gonna amping up, man. And then missiles are gonna fly, man. But yeah, the chariots have been around since the very beginning. As Genesis 1 and 2. And the earth was without form, a void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the spirit of the powers moved upon the face of the waters. And the spirit of the powers moved, the angels moved. How do they move around, man, in the chariots? You look up that word moved. That word there is rahap. Oops. Yeah, the word is rahap. Rahap. It means to hover. Yeah, that's what the chariots do, man. They hover over, man. They're silent. They move really fast. They move in all types of directions. G-forces don't affect them. They don't affect the pilots or the operators. They're not affected by G-forces and all that. They go wherever the spirit goes. They follow your spirit. Yeah, man, it's just spiritual vehicles, man. It said sort of technology that bends space and time, man. That's exactly what them chariots do. But this is Ezekiel 1 and 4. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it. And out of the midst thereof was the color of amber, and out of the midst of the fire. That's some of the chariots, man. That movie Independence Day is basically a recreation of the scripture, man. That's exactly what that was a complete, exact visual representation, of that chariot and what Ezekiel saw, man. And out of the midst thereof came the likeness of four living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. So yeah, the likeness of a man, so the angels, man, out of the midst thereof, man. So the angels, the ones flying those ships. So yeah, and their main job, man, really in this time, is to protect the elect and to deliver the elect. They're gonna get beamed up. That's the strangeness of his salvation. That's 2 Kings 2 and 1. And it came to pass, the Lord Yahweh Shai would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elijah from Gilgal. So yeah, this was when Elijah was about to be taken up. Skip down to verse 11. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire, and the horses of fire, and parted them asunder. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. So Elijah got beamed up now. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and rent them in pieces. So Elisha saw him going up, man. And that's the same way Yahweh Shai went up. It's by that chariot. So these chariots are very important, man. They play a huge role from the creation. They hovered over the waters up until now, man, during time of the Acts. When Yahweh Shai, when Elijah was on the scene, when Yahweh Shai was on the scene, and also going to play a role in delivering the elect, man, the 144,000. That's Acts 1 and 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And that was always the main question that the prophets always asked, always in the prophecy. And when's the kingdom, man? When's the kingdom coming, man? When's it going to establish the kingdom? And we're close, man. We're close in this time right now. He said unto them, for it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power. No man knows the time of date, neither not even Yahweh Shai, himself, man. But how we know we're close? Because of the prophecies, man. All the prophecies are lining up. The technology for the micro beast, for the microchip, the mark of the beast, that's all here, man. The technology is already in place. The digital currency already in place. The race riots, time of Jacob trouble, all that's coming. It's all in place, man. Racial tension is all high. Got these ICE troops, customs enforcement troops, immigration, customs enforcement. So this government has no problem going door to door and rounding people up and taking them away. That's going to happen on a mass scale, according to the scriptures, man. It's going to be a famine coming. All these farmers are, they can't grow crops, tariffs, lack of goods coming into the country, man. Famine's gonna come, man. So everything is in place, for all this stuff, for this place to really melt down, you know. So that's how we know we're close. But ye shall receive power after that the Holy Spirit is come upon you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem and in all Judea and in Samaria and in the uttermost parts of the earth. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. It's that cloud. We just read in Ezekiel, the chariot of fire, the chariots of Israel. You know, or like we read in Kings, what Elisha saw. The chariot of fire. That chariot. That wheel, man. Whirlwind that came, a great cloud, and fire enfolding themselves. So it's referred to as clouds, chariots, a star. But that's what the so-called white man calls a UFO, unidentified flying object. This is the chariots of Israel, man. They took Yahushai, received Yahushai, and a cloud received him out of their sight. He went up. And while they looked steadfastly towards heaven, as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel. Those were the angels, man. Living creatures that had the appearance of men. Which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushai, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven. So the way he left, he's coming back, man. In chariots, man, that large ship, man. That's when, the facts are going to be released. That's when people are going to understand. When Yahushua comes back with the thousands, the whole host of heaven, man, all his angels, man, start that war in heaven, and then to deliver his elect, man. So Wisdom of Solomon 5:1, and then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no accounts of his labor. That's happening right now, man. All the righteous men, camps popping up, with great boldness, prophesying the downfall of this place, man. Bringing down the scriptures in truth, man. When they see it, they shall be troubled with fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they had looked for. So far beyond, man. So they're not going to really they're not going to understand these chariots until when Yahushua comes back, man. The government, Trump administration, different government administrations are not going to put out the truth of the chariots and who's operating these ships, or a disclosure, as they like to say. That ain't going to happen, man. Because it's so far beyond all that they look for. They are amazed at the strangeness. People are going to be amazed at that. Strangeness for salvation. And they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit, saying within themselves, this is he whom we had sometimes in derision, a proverb of reproach. So-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, man. So they're not going to put out that the angels, or so-called black men up there flying them ships, they see it. People that they see those angels, man, with them telescopes and whatnot. They seen them. They're not going to disclose that on a wide scale, man, to the public. You may have some whistleblowers here and there. There's that one guy, he wrote the book, Ring Makers of Saturn. Basically came out, it said that there were black men flying them ships, But, his book, I think that book goes for thousands of dollars now, called Ring Makers of Saturn. I forgot his name. But that's his book. He wrote The Ring Makers of Saturn. He came out on a YouTube program. Not even sure if you can find that same YouTube site anymore, but there's some YouTube vids back in the day. But he said it, but, they didn't really push it. So Trump ain't going to come out and say, on some news program or some White House press, program, that are black men flying them ships. He's not gonna do that, man. Yeah, so the people aren't gonna believe it, man. They're gonna be we fools that counted his life madness and his end to be without honor. How was he numbered among the children of the Most High and his lots among the saints? Therefore, we have erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness hath not shined onto us. The sun of righteousness arose upon us. So they're not going to know the truth until the very end, man. That goes for all the people, including it goes for our people. 2/3 are not going to want to accept this truth until that wall of fire hits them to the very end. And all these other nations are not going to accept the truth. They're not going to know the truth until the Lord comes back, you know, and then ultimately destroys them, you know. But yeah, just wanted to bring out this. The U.S. can handle the truth of the UFOs. No, they can't handle it. They're not going to put out the truth of the UFOs. But with that, shalom.